guys, I'm Aisha Thomas, your corporate leadership and team development expert, here with another episode. We are on episode 3. So if you're just catching on to this, go back to episode 1. Even go back to my leadership development series, because we've been building up to this. We've talked about the importance of developing a leader, and now in this series, we're talking about how we retain our team members. I've seen your views. I see that this is the topic that is popular to you. So I wanted to expound on that a little bit more. And the first 2 episodes really allowed you to have an understanding of how leadership development is changing, how team members want to be humanized a little bit more. We need to have more of an understanding and have that emotional intelligence and have an understanding of ourselves and how we show up for our team members, because it solely isn't about the check. It's about purpose. It's about feeling like you are an asset to an organization. And we as leaders need to make sure that we are doing that. So on episode 3, we want to kind of delve into another reason why team members typically leave your organizations or quit those leaders. Because remember, individuals don't typically quit the organization. They typically quit the leader. And that's why we need to continue to gain an understanding and develop as leaders, and also gain an understanding of the needs of our team members. So they want to work with us. They want to stay and support the organization, and so they don't quit us. And today we're going to talk about appreciation. We're going to talk about why that's so important, because studies have shown that that is one of the top reasons why individuals leave, is because they don't feel appreciated. They feel like they're showing up at work all the time. They're working hard and no one cares. No one supports it. No one lets them know how you really appreciate what they're doing. So we're going to talk about that from a different perspective, because again, just like emotional intelligence has different layers, so does appreciation. Again, I've been using this language a lot about how we need to start customizing. Remember, customizing our interactions with everyone, because we tend to have this one size fits all approach to everything. And we have to recognize that everybody is different. Everybody feels appreciated a lot differently. So today's message is influenced by the 5 love languages, because again, I want to allow you to be introduced to the customization part. And a lot of people are familiar with that book. It's by Gary Chapman, and it's utilized and talked about a lot of times in relationships, personal relationships, meaning in marriage, long-term relationships, partnerships with a loved one, right? So the great thing about it, it also applies a lot into the work setting. And what I realized once I identified mine years ago, I was like, you know what? It's the same way with me in the workspace. But what happens is that a lot of organizations come up with these ways to incentivize or to edify people or make them feel appreciated, but they're not specifically speaking their appreciation language. So let's call it the appreciation language. So they know that they're making sure they're customizing how they make sure their team members feel and know they're appreciated. Now, the reality is some leaders are just not effective in doing it at all. They're not necessarily going out and making sure they are recognizing their team members. So you want to make sure you're doing that. But you might be saying, hey, I'm making them feel appreciated, but you might not be speaking that person's specific appreciation language. And again, this is really influenced by the 5 love languages. And I really want to explain it to you from that concept and from that mindset of how to customize that language. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the different ways that you can start showing appreciation to your team members, so you are customizing that. And of course, if you go back to the leadership development course, I kind of broke down how to really understand and start to understand the different team members you have on your team, because you first need to pay attention and identify and really connect with them on a regular basis to even identify what their, appreciation language is. So that's going to be some work that you have to do on your part. We have to make sure that as leaders, we're doing our part to connect with our team members, talk to them frequently, and we start to notice certain things about them for us to know, okay, this is probably how this person likes to be appreciated. Or sometimes you can just ask them, correct? All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into the different types. So the first one is acts of service. Now, this is one of mine. I've taken it multiple times, and I always tie into 2 of them that are mine. My specific appreciation or love language, and acts of service is one of them. What is that? And I want to utilize this example. I remember when I was working in a previous office that we would have these shredder bins under our desks or next to it. And what we would do is we'll put paper in there that we need to shred. A lot of stuff is, of course, via, some type of email format, or is digitized at this point. or is soft copy, aka it's basically uploaded on your computer at this point. But before, we used to utilize a lot of paper to do transactions. So what will happen is that we will collect papers and we'll put it in the shred bin because maybe they had personal information on there and we had to shred it. So we would have these bins by our desks and we will put paper in there, and probably at the end of the day we will go and shred those documents. But an act of service is if you decide, okay, I'm going to go around and collect everybody's shred bin and shred their papers for them because I know how busy they are. So that's an example of acts of service, doing things for individuals in the workplace. And that's a way that they can feel like, I feel appreciated every day. And again, it could be a variety of things. Hey, I'm picking up lunch. Do you want me to grab you something? Just text me and I'll grab it for you. I know you're busy. It could be, you know what? I know there's a meeting that you need to go to. You know what? Let me take it for you. I know you're working on something and you're busy doing that. And doing things like that for someone that has this appreciation language, that allows them to feel that, man, like you really care. You're really noticing that I'm busy. You're helping me when I need help. You're supporting me in these areas. And again, it's an act. So it's a physical act that you have to do. Hey, let me find out for you. Let me get this answer for you. I know you're busy. Let me go run down the hall, ask the question for you, and I'll be right back. And it's like, man, I appreciate that you're doing this for me because I'm so busy right now. So how often as leaders are we taking time to identify and asking our team members, hey, what do you need? Oh, you know what? Let me just grab that for you and take it down the hall. Oh, let me get that question for you. Is there anything I can do to support you? So that's an example of acts of service. And by doing that, for someone that has that appreciation language, to them, they're like, okay, I feel appreciated in this space. So again, really start to pay attention and identify who those individuals are that are likely to do that. And the interesting part about things that I learned within this book also is that typically people speak to you in the language that they have. So, and what I mean by that is, if I'm someone that's acts of service, I tend to do acts of service for other people. And we have to check ourselves sometimes because we think that we are communicating the right appreciation language, but we're really just doing our own appreciation language. So it doesn't mean that, yes, there's some people who actually are going to have the same one as you, and it might work perfectly, but what if it's someone that has a different one? What if they have a totally different one and you think by you going by and checking on them and helping them out, answering emails for them, or grabbing their shredder bin does something? It might not. It actually might not really convey to them that you appreciate them. So that's another way to identify what someone's appreciation language is, because they tend to show their appreciation to you in the same manner that they want to be they want that message conveyed to them. So that's another way to identify what that is, if you again take time to really start understanding your team members. So again, that's the first one. Acts of service, doing things for other people, and maybe again, if they're busy or if they need that support, that really conveys to them that you appreciate them. So let's move on to the next. The next one is quality time. Quality time. And again, we know what this looks like in a relationship type of situation, but how does that look like in the workplace? So what does quality time look like? And I talked about that before. How often are you getting with your team members and checking with them? Remember, last episode, we talked about coaching and really starting to connect with our team members more often. And that's literally just sitting down and having a conversation with them, checking with them, talking to them. How's your family? How are you doing? And really just making sure you remain in constant contact. Now, quality time is something that I think you should do with all your team members anyway, just to make sure that you are checking in, making sure that you want to show that your presence is there and you're there to support them. But essentially, you have some people who need that as a way to feel appreciated. So quality time is something that you want to, again, pay attention to for someone who specifically really thrives and feels appreciated in that, and just identify, okay, well, this is the person that you might have to, hey, you'll have some people that your conversation with them might be 5 minutes, but you might have somebody that needs a 10-minute conversation. And of course, set out time to make sure that you have time available for them, because you know this person likes to have that connectivity and chit chat within, of course, the rules and the regulation and professionalism that you want to maintain. So there are people who feel appreciated by you taking time to talk to them, by you connecting with them? How often are you having lunch with your team members? And for that person that really fuels or is fueled by this is going to make them feel appreciated. For some people, if you decide to go out to lunch with the whole team, it might not be as of a big deal to them. But for some people, it is extremely important for you to spend that time with them. So you'll have those individuals that's like, man, I love when we all go to lunch together. I love when we have our quarterly outings with the whole team. And again, that makes them feel appreciated. So again, pay attention to identify how often you are connecting with your team members, which you should do with everyone, but also pay attention to identify those individuals who thrive off of that, because again, it talks back to that appreciation side, that appreciation language that they need so they can feel like they matter within the organization. So that is the second one. The next area that I want to highlight, I kind of work them together because there's one that's affirmation. And again, if you ever heard words of affirmation, utilizing your words to edify and let someone know they're appreciated. And then the second one is physical touch. Physical touch is a no-no. Physical touch could possibly end you up with an HR complaint, and we don't want that. So I work these two together because essentially in a work setting, it's really bringing and merging those two together. And essentially it's affirmation, making someone feel and utilizing your words to express your thanks to them. So for me, affirmation is my second one. I need to hear that feedback from you. Hey, Aisha, you did well. Thank you so much for doing this. Oh, I really appreciated that you supported this organization. Or there'll be moments where I don't necessarily like the glitz and the let's do an award banquet or a award type of presentation where I'm in front of everyone. I don't like that. But if you walk up to me and say, hey, Aisha, I want to give this award, and you read the award and it's telling me how I helped the organization or how I helped the team, that really makes me feel good inside. So I'm a words of affirmation person. So when you're thinking about words of affirmation or physical touch, because again, physical touch is a no-no in the workplace, it's essentially warping these two together, and you have a group of team members that want to be affirmed, that need to hear that they're doing well. They need to hear that they're appreciated. So it's something that you will have to vocalize, where again, you have some members, you don't have to do that. It's just acts of service. It's quality time, having those conversations. But again, when it comes to, I need to be affirmed. I need to know that I am doing a good job. So make sure that you are connecting with your team members and again, paying attention, because again, I tend to use affirmations to vocalize my appreciation for people, but that's a telltale sign that that is what I like to receive myself. So again, I really try to also pay attention to people who have different languages. I work with a team member who likes the next area, the gifts of service. So I know for them, they have to be rewarded in a different way versus someone else that needs that acts of service. So make sure you're paying attention to your group of team members that want to be affirmed, that need to hear it from you, that, man, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate you. And again, you might have those people who are those that like physical touch. Maybe they shake hands or maybe they do hugs. And in some workplaces, that's okay. But then again, you really want to be mindful in professional settings to really be mindful of, utilizing that approach. So by utilizing affirmations and just taking time and say, man, I really appreciate what you do for the organization. Maybe give them a handshake, maybe give them a pat on the shoulder, but essentially you want to verbalize that information and let them know that they matter and what they're doing to that team or what they're doing to support that organization is powerful and helpful. So that's another way to make sure that you are showing appreciation. Now, the last one is gifts. Gifts. So when we're going to utilize gifts as a way to incentivize and make people feel appreciated, you always want to check with HR because they might have certain limitations and rules and regulations of what that looks like. But once you get the green light, it might be giving that person a gift card to a place that they frequent on a regular basis. And again, it's going to take you paying attention, asking around and identifying what that person likes. So it's really paying attention to the patterns of these individuals to identify what that appreciation language is. But it could be that. It could also giving them options. Maybe you have a paid time off option. Maybe you have comp time or overtime. And these are ways that it's like a gift to the person because, I can take a day off and still get paid for it. Or I can take a day off and it doesn't count against the leave that I have already. Or I can get overtime. Oh man, I really want overtime because by doing another 8 hours, this is going to benefit me getting maybe that Christmas present that I want to buy. And yes, you might feel that, okay, the person is just working 8 more hours, but maybe they really want that. And maybe there's been limitations to the overtime that you have. I had an organization that because of the budget, they couldn't give overtime. They could only give comp time. But there were people who rather see that check. They wanted to see that overtime versus getting comp time. So that's what they preferred. So those are ways that you can incentivize it, or taking them out to lunch, taking everybody out to lunch and say, I really appreciate you for all the hard work you've been doing. So I got your lunch for the day. So just identify with HR what the do's and don'ts are. And those are ways that you can utilize gifting to show the person that you appreciate them. So everyone is different. So here you can apply so many different ways to incentivize and show that person they're appreciated. So again, this is something that really is important because again, individuals typically quit the leader. And if as leaders, we're not taking time to show people that they're appreciated and customize it to what their needs are, that could really affect that relationship and that person might walk out the door. And I think that's a small adjustment that we can make as leaders so people feel like they belong within the organization. So remember, you have people who want that acts of service. What can you do? Can you go grab something for them to eat? Can you ask them what they need? Maybe just asking that simple question. Maybe if you pay attention to what they do on a regular basis, you're like, you know what? I realize that every Wednesday you get busy. So how about I answer the phone for the day? How about I go take this trash out for the day? Simple things like this really speaks to this person. The next one is quality time, because you have those individuals that really want to sit and connect with you. They want to have maybe a longer conversation with you than others, and they're really going to thrive by you taking time to talk to them. So make sure that you're allotting time for those people, and make sure, again, you connect with all your team members. But for these individuals, they might need an extra 10 minutes, an extra 15 minutes just to talk, just so you guys connect. And again, that allows them to feel that they're appreciated. The next area, again, we're taking physical touch and affirmation and warping them together so you don't get in trouble. But essentially, it's really utilizing your words and vocalizing to that person that they mean something, that they matter, and really, really letting them know, man, I just thank you for so much what you're doing. And vocalizing that. And some of us don't do that. We might have this incentivized process where you might be gifting them something or you're doing things for them, but essentially they want you to hear, they want to hear those words come out your mouth that, yes, I thank you and I appreciate you for what you're doing. You know, pat on the shoulder, shake your hand. I just so appreciate you for everything you've been doing for this organization, and I appreciate that. And the last one is gifts. And make sure, again, you verify with HR what you can and can't do. And then you can give that person options. Hey, I can take you out to lunch, and you know what, I got it. Or you can utilize the option of paid time off. That's not going to affect the leave that you have if you can do that. It could be offering overtime or comp time. Whatever option that you have, find out from HR what you can and can't do, and then you can identify ways that you can incentivize that process and really appreciate or show appreciation for that person by utilizing those sources as gifts. So I hope you utilize these things. And again, I think this is really, really a small way that you can show and you can really help in the retention and turnover issues that you might have in your organization. Or again, if you're new in this space, you're building a team, you're about to lead a team, just think about ways to really start paying attention to the human being, their patterns, and really finding out what makes them feel appreciated. And once you do that, then you can start utilizing this as a way to really make them feel like they're an important asset to your organization and minimize those turnover rates. Make it a part of your in-processing when they come in for the new employee orientation. Have that on a questionnaire. How do you like to feel appreciated? And then you throw out those examples, acts of service, show the definitions, and that person can probably tell you in the beginning. And anytime you connect with them, or when you are about to consider, okay, it's time to incentivize this, or it's time to show appreciation, you go in their file and then you can go and find out what appreciation language they speak. So it's really a small adjustment you have to make so individuals don't quit you as a leader. So I really hope this information helped. And again, it's a small adjustment we can make in leadership so we can start humanizing the workplace, lowering those retention issues, lowering those turnover rates by simply really paying attention to these areas and identifying if we are showing our team members that we appreciate them, that they are an asset to the team. And remember, individuals don't typically quit the organization, they typically quit the leader. And that's why you need to continue to develop as a leader, and that's why you need to continue continue to improve and walk towards the future of leadership where we will start humanizing the workplace. So make sure you go back and check out the previous episodes. If you know a leader out there that needs this information, make sure you share it. Remember, like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next episode. Have a good one.